How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Baseball Banter Podcast. This is the first episode of the 2025 MLB season. We will have 2 episodes a week. Today's episode is a season preview for the 2025 season with projections for Christian Campbell's rookie season on the Red Sox. Preview some teams' opening day rosters and talk about surprising guys that made it, guys that missed. Can the Rays survive without Shane McClanahan? And previewing the first 2 months of the season for the Rays and the Red Sox and giving you an early season kind of prediction on what their record's going to look like after the first 2 months of the season. But we are going to get started, and we're going to break down some teams' opening day rosters. And Bradley and I talked about this prior to the show. And we've got, I think it's 6 teams that we're breaking down their opening day roster. If my math is correct.
1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I've got 9.
9?
19.
Okay. So we are going to let's do the Marlins first and get the least exciting team out of the way. Not to be rude to Marlins fans, but sorry, that's just how it's going to work. So start with the pitchers that made the team for the Marlins.
Okay, their starting 5 and their closer are going to be Alcantara, Quantrill, Meyer, Gillespie, Belzo, and Foucher are their starting, or their 6 there.
Well, Fauché. And you know what the funny thing about Calvin Fauché is? You know what organization he used to be in before the Marlins?
Mm-mm.
He used to be in the Rays organization. Yep. And then obviously, as you can see, it didn't work out with the Rays, and now he's on the Marlins.
It also says that 2 of their pitchers will be on the IL. Edward Cabrera and Ryan Weathers are both on the IL. That will open the season on the IL, but they both made the opening day roster.
Cabrera is not that big of a loss for them. The big loss is Weathers. He was having a heck of a spring. There's reports out of the Marlins camp that he was hitting 97 to 98 consistently on his fastball, with the occasional 99 on his fastball from time to time. What is the rest of their pitching staff, other than the starters, look like? Obviously, you name the starters. Who's in the bullpen?
Okay, let me look that up. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see here. All right, let's see. We've already mentioned their closer. So it looks like they have Jesus Tanaka, Anthony Bender. Let me make sure. I'm making sure I don't remember. Okay, I'm going through all the ones. So I want to make sure I don't name the same guys over again. DeClain Cron, Lake Bashar, Anthony Venezuela, George Soriano, Ronnie Herquez, Andrew Nardi, Seth Martinez, Xavier Curry, Brett DeGezus, Sixto Sanchez, and Anderson Pilar are the guys that made the 40-man roster. Those are the bullpen guys, and then they have guys that have gone to the minors too on here. you want to hear who they've sent down to the minors. But yeah, I have them too.
Yes, but I'm going to chime in for a second. I don't know if I agree with them putting Sixto in the bullpen, but I can understand why, because he's had so many. He has a lengthy. We'd be here all night if we tried to go over Sixto Sanchez's injury history. It's one of those that you have to look up on your off time. Once thought of as a highly recommended starting pitching prospect, now he's pitching out of the bullpen. But go ahead with the guys they've sent down to the minors.
Okay, go back real quick.
I know one of them's got to be Agustin Ramirez.
The players that they sent to them. Yes, he is one, but they have 3 guys, like I said, starting on IL. That's Perez, Cabrera, and Weathers. We've talked about them already. They have
I believe Yuri Perez is
Adam
out
Oliver,
for the year.
Josh Simpson, Arias, Pat Mervedi, John Rooney, Matt Pichard, Jason Junk, Robert Snelling, Christian Raw, and Josh Ekenis are all in the minors. Those are the guys that they sent down in the minors. Those will be in either in AAA, AA, or single A baseball.
I would imagine Snelling's probably out of that group the other than Ramirez, the closest one to the big leagues. Because they said Ramirez was in AAA, which now get to the position players that made it. Because I know Nick Fortes was one of them, and Liam Hicks was one of them, because there was a video on, I believe it was all social media the other day, of Liam Hicks getting pulled into. Who is the manager for the Marlins? It's not Schumacher anymore. But he got pulled into the manager's office, and they're like, "You've done so much for this organization," and then he finally broke the news. He's like, "You made the big league. You made the big league roster."
I want to say, but it's Clayton McCullough is the new manager for the Miami Marlins. Okay.
Well, and Connor Norby's on the opening day roster, but he's gonna miss the first week of the season with injury.
Okay. Yeah. So let me see here. Let me go. So obviously, Stinky is on. He's the out. These are pitchers. Let me get past the pitchers here. Okay, here are the 2 catchers that made it. Nick Fortes and Liam Hicks are both on the starting 40 roster as their catchers. Infielders are Jonah Bride, Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez, Matt Mervis, Connor Norby, Javier Sanjala, and Eric Wagman are the infielders and made the 40-man roster.
Let me say something about that infield. Xavier Edwards is he's, to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, I think he's one of the most underrated second basemen in baseball. And the only reason he doesn't get the love he deserves is because he's on a team like the Marlins. And he used to be a Rays prospect, by the way, for those of you that had no idea.
And the outfielders, Bud, that made the roster were Griffin Conine, Derek Hill, Dane Myers, Jesus Sanchez, and Kyle Stowers are the outfielders that made the 40-man roster for the Marlins.
You mean the opening day?
Yeah.
Opening day roster. Did you catch what I said about Xavier Edwards? What do
He's
you
actually
think? Do
well, he's actually
Oh, I think my co-host is having technical issues. Give him a second. We are part of the NGSE Sports Network. I forgot to say that right off the rip of the intro. Okay.
sorry about that, bud.
No. Hey, you're good. Okay, seems my co-host is back. So let's. What were you trying to say before your feed?
Oh, I was going to say that
Frozen?
Xavier Edwards is supposed to be the projected starting shortstop for the
Yeah.
Marlins.
Well, what I was saying is he's one of the most underrated shortstops in MLB, and the only reason he doesn't get the media attention that some of these other guys get is because he's playing for the Marlins. And let's just be honest with ourselves. Not a lot of people watch the Marlins. And if you do, sorry, I really feel I really feel bad for you. It's not, and I'm the resident Rays fan here. Yes, we are probably gonna have better attendance than the Marlins this year. But I remember turning on Marlins games last year and half the stadium was empty. But other than that, there's nothing special about the Marlins other than they've probably got one of the second or third best farm systems in baseball. With all the prospects they've been getting back, Starling Caba, Robbie Snelling, Davison De Los Santos, who should have made the opening day roster. He's outdone AAA. I don't understand why they sent him back down.
Not sure either.
So tell us the position players that were sent down.
Position players that were sent down for the Marlins. Let's see here. Here we go. Now, again, guys, these are coming off of MLB.com, just to let you guys know. This is straight from the source itself. Okay, so the Augustine Ramirez got sent down. He's the catcher that got sent down on the roster. You have Max Acosta, Division de Los Santos got sent down. Graham Pauley and Jared Cerna are the infielders that were sent down. And the only outfielder that was sent down was Victor Mesa Jr. on the 40-man
One of their
roster.
top outfield prospects, which I'm going to say this. I was not expecting him to. He was making a push to make the opening day roster, but I don't think there was a chance that he was going to make it. Because I think the only reason Dane Myers made it, he's going to be the left fielder opening day. But he's what do most teams want now? Versatility.
Oh,
And Dane Myers can play left field, center, right, third base, shortstop, second base. So I think that's the main reason he made it over somebody like Victor Mesa, who's only an outfielder. Who is the next team that you want to preview their opening day roster from the teams we have?
We have the Astros, but if you want to go into the Astros,
Yes,
let
let's
me
do that
give you
because we
their.
just talked about somebody that we kind of, if you go back and look at an episode from the last couple of weeks, we're going to talk about this guy with the Astros now, Cam Smith. We kind of spoke it into existence that he was going to make their opening day roster. And if you haven't seen, we can't show the video on here because we will get copyrighted by MLB. But if you haven't seen the video yet, highly recommend going to watch it. He was getting interviewed and and you see it in all sports. When a guy either makes team or gets called up, he gets a little emotional about it. But go ahead with the Astros opening day roster. Start with the pitchers.
Their starting five and their closer are Valdez, Hunter Brown, Spencer
Arrighetti.
Ronald Blanco, Hayden Wazinski, and then Josh Hader is their closer. That is their closer.
I'm going to say this. I think, and like I said about Xavier Edwards with the Marlins, I think Caden Wisniewski getting traded from the Cubs to the Astros, that went under the radar with all the big moves that happened in the offseason. I don't think there was a lot of people talking about it. It's like, oh, it's Hayden Wisniewski. He's not going to do anything in Houston. Wrong. I think, and I'm calling it right now, I think he's about to have a breakout season. And I know that's lofty expectations. But I think the reason the Cubs traded him is because he was probably buried. They were probably going to have to send him back down to AAA. And I would assume he was probably out of minor league options. So they had to decide, do we want to keep him over somebody like Ben Brown that can be a starter or be in the bullpen? Go ahead with the rest of the pitchers that made the roster.
Okay. Brian Abreu is one of them. Let me see. Make sure I'm reading this. Luis Contreras made it. Sean Dubin, excuse me. JP France.
My favorite name to say in all of MLB.
Luis Garcia. Christian Javier. Brian King. Lance McCullers Jr., which I think at one time was with the Rays for a little while.
No, he's always been an Astro.
Caleb Ort, Taylor Scott. Let's see. That one's been and Forrest Whitley are the guys that made the 40-man roster as far as pitchers.
40-man / opening day roster.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe McCullers, if I'm not wrong, is going to start the year on the injured list because he's coming back from either surgery or having some type of procedure done because he's had elbow issues 2 out of the last 3 years that have kept him from pitching. Which that was, to an extent, I feel bad for Lance McCullers. He had such a promising career in front of him, and then injuries just like Forrest Whitley. Forrest Whitley at one time was, I think, the number 1 or number 2 prospect in the Astros system. And they're like their top right. What is he, lefty?
Who are you talking about, bud?
Whitley.
He's right-handed.
He was one of their top right-handed pitching prospects. And then just like McCullers, he had shoulder surgery. He had to have Tommy John. Then he came back from Tommy John, was having elbow soreness. You get the gist. He has had a lengthy injury history. So now get to the position players.
You have Victor Ginterney and Yaner Diaz as your catchers. And those are your catchers. Then you have Altuve, Denzino, Paredes, Pena, Walker, who are the infielders. And then you have Alvarez, Dubon, Hamel, Leon, McCormick, Myers, and Tramble, who are your outfielders that made the 40-day and starting lineup for the Astros.
That can't. Cam Smith's not on there. I thought he made the opening day roster.
Did I go by him? Oh, this is on MLB.com, and I typed in 40-man roster, so I'm reading off of their website.
Yeah, because I just saw. That's weird because I saw a video that he made the team.
And actually, on their opening day roster, they have him as the starting right fielder. So there must be one of these guys that is heading to the minors that is not listed as minors, but yeah.
Okay, yes. Cam Smith did make the roster.
Maybe not, but then he would have been, I think, sent to the minors. I don't see that on here. So that's weird.
They might have to put somebody because I don't think he was on the 40-man going into spring training. He was a non-roster. He was an NRI, non-roster invite.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's why he hasn't showed up. They probably have to maneuver. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the official opening day rosters. If a guy makes the opening day roster, but he's not on the 40-man, that team that he's on, that he made the team, they have to take either a guy off the 40-man or put him on the injured list. Let's do the I think, did I say Orioles when I sent you the text?
You did, bud. Let me check something. Yeah, see, I'm actually I went to non-roster, and Cam Smith did go on the non-roster. I'm looking at active. He's not even on the active. But again, I don't really know, honestly, if they've put their actual 40-man rosters out yet. These are predictions of who they think. Because, again, the season's only started for two teams, the Cubs and the Dodgers. Those are the only two lineups we already know. But other than that, I think there were still minor league games going on today. So
there was still some spring training games going on today. But I saw a video before we went live of Cam Smith getting interviewed and crying because he made the team. So I don't think these rosters are official till, I would say, tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say probably right, but probably until tomorrow when they get everything squared away. Yeah. Yeah, but you did put the Orioles down. Let me pull them up here real quick. You want me to start with their rotation?
I would say do the pitchers first. So go pitchers, infield, outfield.
Okay, so their starting five are Eflin, Morton, Kremer, Sagano, and Povich. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you are.
And then they have Felix Bautista as their closer. That is who they have as that's their projected starting five.
One big question for Orioles fans. whether you're over here on YouTube or on Twitch, is what is your confidence level? And Felix Bautista, who is going to be included on the opening day roster as your closer after this being the first time he's going to pitch in a regular season game since coming back from Tommy John surgery. Now get to the rest of their bullpen.
Okay, the rest of them. Again, let me make sure I don't repeat any of these names. You have Keegan Aiken, Brian Baker. That one was mentioned.
Which I went to college with Brian Baker.
Cool.
He went to University of North Florida.
Matt Bowman. Matt Bowman. Now, Kyle Bradish will begin on the 60-day IL. He's listed down here.
Tommy John surgery.
Yep. Yaner Cano, Rosani Contreras, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Kyle Gibson so there's Andrew Kittredge, I've heard that name.
Rays.
Ray. Yeah. Chase McDermott, Charlie Morton's already been mentioned. Colon Perez, let's see here. Grayson Rodriguez, Trevor Rogers.
Trevor Rogers and Grayson Rodriguez are both hurt.
Injured, okay. Gregory Soto.
And isn't it funny? Didn't both of us say that Grayson Rodriguez was going to be the opening day starter?
We did. That was projected, and now
Whoops.
Now it's going to be Zach Eflin, it looks like.
Whoops. Sorry, Orioles fans. We kind of jinxed Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah, it says he will open the season on the injured list due to an inflammation near the back of his right elbow. And then Suarez is also... Okay. I'm reading some of the notes underneath. And then you have Seguno, and then you have Tyler Wells is also on the 60-day injured
Tommy
reserve.
John.
Okay, so he's gone. Their minor guy. There's 5 guys that they sent.
Where's John?
Minor.
Is John Mean still there, or did he sign somewhere? I think he might have signed with somebody else.
I don't see him on here, but let me make sure. Hang on a second. I'm going to make sure he's not on the non-roster type of situation here. Hang on just a second. Let me see. No, he must have signed somewhere else.
I think he did.
Signed somewhere else. So the guys that they sent down to the minors, they had 5 they sent down. Brandon Young, Cage Stroud, Colin Selby, Luis Gonzalez, and Kyle Gibson are all sent down to the minors.
Well, because I think they had just signed Kyle Gibson like 2 weeks ago. And obviously we know it was toward the end of spring training. So he was probably sent down so he can build up and stretch out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not supposed to assume anything, but that's the assumption we're making here is the reason he was sent down is because he was signed later in the spring and didn't really have time to get acclimated, which yet another guy signs late in the spring. Doesn't that sound all too familiar? I'm looking at Scott Boras and all his clients. Jordan Montgomery, whoever else is a Scott Boras client. Get rid of Scott Boras and hire somebody else to be your agent. Scott Boras is terrible.
He makes too much money for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, he does.
The 2 starting catchers, they only have 2 on their 40-man roster. Obviously, is Rutschman and Gary Sanchez are your 2 catchers. That will be
Gary.
That will be in there as their starting catchers. Now, the lineup took a big hit because Gunnar Henderson has been out since February 27th and will begin the season on the IL. So that's huge blow to that lineup. So they have moved. Let's see. Gunnar plays what? Shortstop?
Jackson Holiday is going to play short.
Yep. They have him starting. It's Kowser, Rutschman, Westberg, O'Hearn, O'Neill, Montcastle, Mullins, and then you have
Say that fast 5 times. O'Neill, O'Hearn, O'Neill, O'Hearn, O'Neill,
yeah.
O'Hearn.
Yeah.
That's going to get annoying.
Ramon Urias and then Jackson Holiday are the guys that will be rounding out. That could be projected to be the starting 9. You also have infielders. You also have Jorge Mateo and
Stolen base machine.
And okay, so yeah, everyone is the one that they sent down to the minors was Kobe Mayo. He's the one who got sent down.
You can see my reaction by that. Why? Their excuse was he's blocked. You can find somewhere to put him.
Well, I guess, but I guess, if that was the case, then why didn't they? Did he outbeat Jackson Holiday in spring training or no?
No, Jackson Holiday had a spot on a roster. He was competing with, I think it was O'Hearn and a couple other guys for a roster spot. It was Colby Mayo, Heston Kierstead, and one other guy were battling for a backup spot in the infield because Kierstead could play the outfield left and right, and he could play first base. And obviously, we know Mayo's a corner infielder.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand the Orioles front office why they did that. You just burned another minor league option for Kobe Mayo. That made zero. If you're not going to use him, trade him.
Yeah.
Trade him to somebody else that needs infield help. Looking at the Marlins, looking at anybody. But I guarantee you there's a team out there that would take the services of Kobe Mayo in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the Blue Jays. They don't have a third baseman. But the Orioles, I doubt they would do that because that's in the interdivision.
Yep, in the division.
Go to the outfield.
The outfield, you had Dylan Carlson sent to the minors, and you have Colton Kowser, Hessen Kierstead.
Yes.
Kierstead.
Kierstead. He made the roster. He made the opening day roster.
He's on the 40-man listed on their 40-man website, so he's on here. Ramon Leonardo, Cedric Mullins, and Tyler O'Neill are the listed outfielders that made the roster for the Orioles.
I'm shocked they sent Dylan Carlson down.
Yeah, it says minors next to his name.
That's just, you signed him to a 1-year deal. Why did you send him down? Oh wait, this is another case of they have too many what's the word I'm looking for? Their outfield is too crowded.
Gotcha.
Why in the first place are you signing somebody if your outfield's crowded already with Kowser, Kierstead, Mullins? That's 4 outfielders I just named. Why did you sign? And as everybody knows, I'm a Rays fan. Why didn't the Rays re-sign Dylan Carlson? Good old, and we brought up this name before. Good old Stu Sternberg. Cheap owner.
That he is.
Go to the next team. Let's do the Red Sox.
Okay. We can do the
Since
Red
that
Sox and the Rays. Red Sox and the Rays, but then if you want to go ahead and get into the preview the seasons for both those teams and stuff, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me do. Okay. Let's see here. Go. Okay. So this is off of MLB.com. Okay. So the projected starting five is Crochet, Tanner Houck, Walker Bueller, Richard Fitz, and Quinn Prester are the starting five with
Well,
Chapman being the
actually, it's not going to be Priester. It's going to be, and I feel like throwing up saying this name. Sean Newcomb is going to be the fifth starter for the Red Sox.
Oh, that's right. It says right here, but it says Quinn's going to the minors. That's what it says. Okay.
Ugh, you're not in good shape with Sean Newcomb. Just look up his career ERA. It is quite pitiful.
So those are the project. Okay, and then the rest of the roster, we all know Bello will start the season on the IL.
Bayo.
Cutter Crawford and Lucas Gallardo are all injured going into this season. So we'll test the Red Sox depth rather. So we have Brendan Bernardino, Chapman's the closer, Cooper Criswell, I believe is.
Can I say something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think Chapman's gonna last as the closer?
I don't say very long. I was surprised that they took a chance with him. It's a little too late with him. He had his shine with the Yankees and the Rangers.
I remember what he did to Mike Brasso with the Rays.
He decked him. He hit him.
Almost hit him in the head.
Yep.
That's another thing we cannot show on here. If you want to see that, look it up. The ultimate revenge, Mike Brasso hitting a home run off of him in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. You have Hunter Dobbins going to the minors, Luis Guerrero going to the minors, Felice Perez going to the minors. We just talked about Priester. Patrick Sandoval will start on the 60-day IL, and Josh Winikowski will also begin his season in the minors as well. So those are the guys that are.
Those are the pitchers that made the roster for the Red Sox.
Yes.
Now we get to the position players.
The two starting catchers are Carlos Narvaez. I'm not sure. But Connor Wong are your two starters. Blake Sabal was the one who got sent down to the minors, and then you have.
I don't necessarily. I'm gonna say I don't necessarily agree with Narvaez making it over a guy like Sable, because Sable has more big league experience than a guy like Narvaez does. And Narvaez has bounced around. He's been with the Angels. He's what we like to call a journeyman. He's been everywhere.
And then the infield as follows: Bregman, Tristan. I don't even remember this guy's last name. Is it Casas? How do you pronounce his last name?
Tristan Casas.
Casas, okay. Devers, Gonzalez, Vaughn Grissom will start the season in the minors. David Hamilton, Rafaela Sogard, and Trevor Story.
Mr. Hamilton.
And then you have.
You know what? Can I say something? You know what the funniest thing would be? Is David Hamilton's walk-up song being the Broadway musical Alexander Hamilton. It would make all the sense in the world. Look at his last name.
And then the outfield is Abreu, Jaron Duran, Refsnyder, and Yoshida. And it looks like
Yoshida's going to.
in the minors.
Well,
he'll start in the minor leagues. That's who
so will Yoshida, apparently.
Yeah, I think Yoshida's coming back from an injury, if I'm not mistaken.
He is, and they want him to play they're sending him down. It's basically they want him to, he's still working his way back from injury, and he's in a throwing program, and they want him down there until he could play games in the outfield. Which,
gotcha.
I'm not a Red Sox fan. I know you are. What is your opinion on that whole situation?
Well, they got to put him somewhere now that you have brought in Alex Bregman, and now that Devers is set to be the everyday DH. You got to fit Yoshi in somewhere. So he's going to have to go play a position, obviously. So they're going to have to send him down. He'll go. Hopefully, it'll end up working out well. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. I know with times with him in the past, he's been able to hit the ball well, and then there are times he can't hit the ball at all. So it just all depends on which Yoshi you get. So we'll see.
What were you saying about that? How do you say his name? The outfielder you just talked about, that Yaxon.
Yeah, I have to go back. I actually had the Rays roster up.
I think his last name is.
He's the one that's going to start in.
He was mashing during the spring. The few Red Sox games I got to see.
I guess not enough.
Problem is, he's probably blocked because you got Roman Anthony, you got Miguel Blaze, you got a lot of other outfield prospects other than him. And one of those guys is probably going to start the year at the big league level, and Christian Campbell.
Yeah, they have Campbell starting at batting eighth. Yeah, they have him in the starting nine. So
just I know we're about to do the Rays, but just real quick, can you see if Christian Moore made the Angels roster?
Sure, hang on,
There's talk of him possibly making the opening day roster and playing either shortstop or second base.
What was the name again?
Christian Moore. He's one of their top infield prospects.
I do not see him, Bud, on the 40-man roster.
I think he was a non-invitee. Non-roster invitee, NRI. He's a second baseman / third baseman. I'm assuming that would mean then Yohan Moncada probably made the roster. If Christian Moore is not there. Which means that's another prospect I would have to cut from my fantasy baseball roster.
Yeah, I do not believe he's on the non-invitee, but it doesn't look like he made the four. Again, this isn't final, so who knows? It may come out tomorrow that he is on the 40-man roster.
Well, that he is on opening day roster, but
right.
But anyway, let's get to the Rays. We still have 2 more segments left.
Okay, so we all know that Shane McClanahan left the game the other day with nerve damage to his
irritation.
Elbow.
Irritation. Which I'm going to say this, that's the best news that could have came out of that for the Rays.
Absolutely, because it could have been a lot worse. So their starting 5 are Pepio, Bradley, Rasmussen, Boz, and Littell. And then Pete Fairbanks is going to be their closer, as he has been for many seasons. I was at a game last year where he went out. It was scary to see him come out of a game as a closer. Fairbanks is who I'm referring to. I was there when he got hurt, and it was weird because he threw, and then he's like, you saw him put his hand up. He's like, I did something, and he left. So he knew, like, I can't go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they have Hunter Bigby, Joe Boyle going to the minors.
Well,
Derek
no, Hunter
Clevenger-
Biggie was just recalled after the McClanahan injury.
Okay, so he's back up. Okay.
Yeah.
Clevenger.
And they did. I was watching the game the other day. They were talking about how Joe Boyle's probably going to make an impact at some point this year.
Okay.
Which the kid throws absolute gas. He's got 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Then you have Mason Englert, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly.
You are.
Alex Fado. Is it
Fiedo. But
Fiedo?
he's going to start the year on the injured list.
Okay. Kevin Kelly.
KK.
Mason Montgomery.
Double M.
Then they have Eric Orrs. He's going to the minors. Joe Rock is going to the minors.
Best name in all of baseball. Can't tell me otherwise.
Ian Seymour is going to the minors. Cole Suter is going to the minors, and Jacob Wazapak, which again that took a long Wagaspak. He's also going. He's coming back.
One of the weirdest names in the MLB.
He's coming back from the injury too from last year.
Personally, out of that group, my favorite name is Joe Rock.
Joe Rock. Yeah,
and
he's
Joe
going to
Boyle.
I wonder where he's. What if they're sending him down to AA or AAA? I'm not sure.
I'm gonna assume both of them go to AAA because I think that's where Rock ended last year, and I know Boyle was with the A's last year, and he was in the big leagues. But that's the A's. Sorry, A's fans. We had to.
And then the starting
players.
catchers are Jansen and Rorvet are your starting catchers, with Logan Driscoll being sent down to the minors. And then you have
infielders are
Aranda, Caballero,
Curtis Mead,
Yanni Diaz. Kim will be back when he comes off injury. Brandon Lau, Christopher Morel, Richie Palacios, and Taylor Walls.
And
Jose Caballero as well.
I'm begging you to stay healthy, Brandon Lau. I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you at this point. Do not get hurt.
And then the two out. Well, they only. Okay, this has got to be wrong because they only have two outfielders, Johnny DeLuca and Josh Lowe, listed as their outfielders.
Well,
that's got to be incorrect.
Morel's going to play a lot of left field.
Okay. Yeah, that's what they have him starting left field, but on the 9-man, they have DeLuca, Morel, and Lowe in.
And then Caballero is going to play some outfield too.
Okay. So that's, and then they sent down Magnum and Misner down to the minors. Jake and
Magnum, Meisner, and Simpson.
Yeah.
Which I'm ticked that they sent Chandler Simpson down. Why not give him a chance? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me why he was sent down.
We should ask Eric Neander that question. He's
and
the
Matt
GM.
Silverman. Yeah, we should.
He's the GM.
Wish we could get him on the show.
Well, he's on all the time with T-Crass every afternoon, especially on Friday because it's opening day. So.
But now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to preview the Rays' first 2 months of the season and give you their series and tell you whether they're going to win or lose the games. The same with the Red Sox. So let's get right to it. We start, obviously, their first series is with the Rockies. And I've never understood why they were supposed to open on Thursday. Why was it moved back to Friday?
I think, but it was to get to one more day to get the stadium ready to go, to get Steinbrenner Field ready. One more day of changing it over from the Yankees or the Tampa Tarpons to the Rays. Because I had actually asked friends of mine to go to the Lightning game, which they play Utah on Thursday, but some of them are going to the Rays game. Well, now the Rays games got switched to Friday, so but yeah.
Are you going to be able to do the show on Thursday?
I will not be able, but I'll be at a hockey game. I'll be at a hockey game.
Okay. Okay, anyway, let's get to this. So, if you didn't hear, ladies and gentlemen, no show on Thursday. So they started 3-game series at semi-home against the Rockies. Do you think they sweep the Rockies?
I do, but at least 2 out of 3. But I think I would give them about a 95% chance of winning all 3 games. The Rockies are not as good, so I'm going to go with
2. Then you got Pittsburgh, and you got to imagine one of those 3 games against Pittsburgh, Paul Skeens is going to pitch.
Probably. So let's say they take 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh.
Then they go, oh boy. Then they go to Texas for 3. So what would that put them if they sweep both those series? 6-0?
6-0.
So they start the year 6-0. Then they go to Texas. I can see them splitting the first 2 games in Texas. Because you got to imagine DeGrom's going to start one of those games and Evaldi's going to start the next game. And
I would say Texas takes 2 out of 3 of that series.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, you got to imagine DeGrom's going to start one game. Then it's going to be Evaldi. Then it might be maybe Jack Leiter in the 3rd game, which, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at, even though he's a rookie.
Right.
So they split. They lose 2 out of 3. So there's 7-2. Then they come back home and they get the Angels. They should sweep.
I was going to say they should win all 3 of those games at that point. Yep.
So that makes them 10-2. Oh boy. That next series is going to be the next 2 series. 3 actually are going to be interesting. You got Atlanta, Boston, New York.
I think they may take 1 or get swept by the Atlanta Braves.
So let's say they get swept. That puts them at 10-5. 10-5. Then they get the Red Sox.
I think they win 1 out of those 3 games. Because again, you remember you got Crochet and those guys pitching. And is it home, Bud, or are they at Steinbrenner Field? Or are they on the road?
They're at Steinbrenner.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people there. I'm sure those games have sold out and stuff, but I'll say they take 1 out of 3 against the Red Sox.
So that makes them 11-7.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, then they get the depleted Yankees.
I say they take either 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 from the Yankees because the Yankees have a lot of injuries. So
I think they take 3 out of 4. So that puts them at 14-8.
Yeah.
And then they go to, oh boy, then they got a West Coast trip. They go to Arizona and San Diego. And Arizona is going to be good this year.
You know what? I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be me. I don't think they win any of those games in any of those series.
I don't either.
I think they get swept by Arizona and San Diego, unfortunately. But That's a tough trip for East Coast teams to go out there and play because I'm sure some of those games are at 10 our time on the East Coast. So
9:40.
9:40, okay.
9:40. All three games in Arizona are 9:40. Then they go to San Diego. 9:40 the first game. 8:40 the Saturday game in San Diego, and 4:10 on Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
So that puts them at 11 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come home and play Kansas City for 3. That's going to be a good series.
I could say they get 2 out of 3, but on that one, the Royals are good, but I got to see them play the Rays last year. I think the Rays took 2 out of 3 from them last year when they were down here. So I'll say the Rays win 2 out of 3 against Kansas City.
So that puts them at 12 and 13 and 15. And then to wrap it up, they get the Yankees on the road and the Phillies at home.
The Yankees, they should take 2 out of 3 from.
It's in New York.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they have the offense that, again, just like Steinbrenner Field, there's a short porch in right field, so you load it up with lefties. Brandon Lau should be good. Those guys like that. Josh Lowe that hit the ball to right field that ballpark should favor them. So I would say at least 2 out of 3, even though it's in New York. And then at home against the Phillies,
15 and 18.
The Phillies, maybe they get 1 out of 3. The Phillies are good. I mean, the Phillies are a good baseball team.
I can see. So after the first 2 months of the season, they're 15 and 20. Sound reasonable?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay, so now we get to the Red Sox. So the Red Sox start the year in Texas with a 4-game series. How many of those games do you think they take? And I'll also say I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna say they split.
I was gonna say, but I'd say they take 2 out of 4. Yep, I would say that too.
Because look at those first 3 games. You got Crochet, Houck, and Buehler. You don't know who's going in game 4.
Uh-huh.
And then you get Baltimore on the road for 3.
I could see with Gunnar out, I could see them take the Red Sox taking 2 out of 3. If Gunnar was in there, it'd probably be the other way around. But I could see 2 out of 3 in Baltimore.
So yes, I agree. I see 2 out of 3. So that puts you at
3 and 3, or 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Then you get St. Louis at home.
That should be a 3-game sweep.
Yes, it should. Michaelis, Palante, and Fetty.
So we'd at that point we would be 4 and 3 at that point. Then you have the other 3, so we'd be 7 and 3 after the
first 3 series of the year. Then you get Toronto at home.
I'd say 2 out of 3 because Toronto always seems to win a game here or there.
It's a 4-gamer, I believe.
Oh, it's 4 games?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, it is. It's 3. Wait, no. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, yeah, it is a 4-gamer. So 3 out of 4?
I'd say 3 out of 4, yeah.
So that puts the Red Sox at, and I agree, I think you also do take 3 out of 4 from them. So that puts you at 10 and 6.
10 and 6, okay.
Or is it 10 and 4? 10 and 4. Yeah, 10 and 4. Then you got the White Sox. That's a sweep.
Yep. I was going to say that's a sweep.
13 and 4. Rays.
2 out of 3 against the Rays. I mentioned that earlier, so yeah.
So that's 12-5. Then you get the White Sox again for 3. Another sweep.
Sweep. Yep.
So 15 and 4. Then you get the Mariners at home for 3. Sweep.
Okay.
6. Well, what do you think? Do you think you could sweep Seattle with that pitching rotation they have?
I think so.
So that brings the record to 19, or is it 18?
It'll be 18 at that point, but yeah.
18 and 4. Then you go to the Guardians for 3.
Maybe 2 out of 3, because Cleveland's, even though I know they're not projected to do very well, they're one of those stingy teams too that used to be, and no offense to Indian fans, because I still call them the Indians. They used to be like a walking mat. Not anymore. They're a good baseball team, and they have proved that over the last few years. So yeah.
I say the same thing. You take 2 out of 3 from them, so that puts you at 20 and 6. Then you get the Blue Jays again.
I'd say 2 out of 3 again with Toronto.
So 22 and 7. Minnesota for 3.
I'd say
home.
sweep. I'll say a sweep with the Twins.
So 25 and 7. And I agree, that's a sweep. Texas, 2 out of 3 again.
2 out of 3 again.
So that puts you at 27 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City on the road.
I'd say 2 out of 3. Kaufman's a interesting place to play.
So 29 and 8. And then we wrap it up with the Tigers.
I'll say 2 out of 3 against Detroit.
So 30 and 10.
Sounds about right.
Okay. Not bad. And then we are going to finish off with the projecting Christian Campbell, projecting his rookie season, and talking about the Rays if they can survive without Shane McClanahan. So what is your stats look like for Christian Campbell in his rookie year?
Well, I want to say a couple shows ago when we first started doing this, I think I had him winning Rookie of the Year. So, I think he's going to do very well. Obviously, it's been a while since we've been able to talk about young talent with the Red Sox, because just like the Yankees, they trade all their young talent away for already, developed superstars. So now the Red Sox have said, hey, we're going to do what the Rays do. We're going to build these guys up, bring them up, and let these kids, cook, as they say. So yeah, I think he's going to do very, very well. The one thing though with playing in Boston, and there's been a lot of players that have come from other teams. Sometimes the pressure of the media in Boston, because Boston's not a New York media, but it's close. I mean, they're pretty harsh. They can be harsh in the newspapers, blogs or whatever you want to call them now. So yeah, if he can withstand, just playing baseball and having fun and try to avoid the media as much as you can, which is hard, I think he'll do fine starting off the season.
So if you had to project, what would his average be? Slugging percentage, on base, home runs, RBIs, and stolen bases?
His average, I would say, somewhere in the category of probably 260 to 270. Slugging percentage, I'd say in the 900 to 1,000 category in slugging. What are the other ones, bud? You wanted me to
OPS, on base percentage, and stolen
It'll
bases.
probably be 900 stolen bases. Is he? I mean, I haven't looked up. Is he a base stealer or is he just a power hitter?
He can't. He's stolen a few, but I think like 3 or 4 bases during the spring. So he's not afraid to run.
I guess it depends on the situation. I don't know. Maybe 6 or 7 stolen bases early on. Home runs. I mean, if he gets off to a hot start, I'd say like maybe 10 to 12. Because because again, you don't have a lot of film on the kid, so a lot of these pitchers he's going to be able to hit off of them right away, so they get film of where he can't hit. That always happens with rookies coming up. They catch fire, and then of course they get film, and then pitchers know how to get them out. RBI wise, I'd put him somewhere in the 10, 15 RBIs halfway through, start of the season, something like that, getting off to a good start.
Oh no, this is full season.
Full season. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So full. This is not just the first half. Okay.
No.
So full season. I could see him hitting again in the 270, 280 category if it's full season. 270, 280 category. I would still keep the slugging and the on-base percentage kind of in the same category as I said before. Home runs, I would say, I mean, it would be awesome to say 20, but I would say anywhere from 10 to 17 homers again, because again, catch fire, they're gonna learn how to get him out. Stolen bases, maybe 10 at the end of the season, something like that. Yeah, I mean, that would be my prediction for him.
Okay. Mine is I agree with you on the 270, 280. Same with slugging and on-base percentage. Home runs, I'm going to be bold. I'm not a Red Sox fan, but I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say 25 home runs.
Okay.
25 home runs, around 75 to 85 RBIs. And I think he can get you 15 to 20 stolen bases. Because look at how many bases Duran stole last year. And then we are going to wrap up with, can the Rays survive without Shane McClanahan? And I will let my co-host go first.
I think they can because they're at Now, again, they're at Steinbrenner Field. That's not where the Rays play. The Hurricane Milton damaged Tropicana Field. If anyone doesn't know that, or if you've been living under a rock, the Tropicana Field did get damaged during the hurricane. They're in a hitter's ballpark. I think they can survive. And really, Shane is good, but you got Pepio and Taj. These guys are, they have experience. These aren't fresh rookies coming out of AAA. I think they're going to be fine. They'll be able to hopefully score enough runs to get them through the season until Matt comes back.
I agree with you. I think they can survive too, because not only do they have the 5 guys that are going to start the season, but they've also got depth. I mean, no depth can help. They've got Joe Boyle, they've got Joe Rock, Ian Seymour, and a bunch of other pitchers they could probably call up from the minors if they need to, because we know how the Rays are. They like to manipulate if a guy goes 2 or 3 innings, the next day he's down in AAA, call a fresh arm up. Then if that guy pitches 2 or 3 innings, they send him down, call somebody else up. They're playing taxi cab, as I like to call it, but there's other names for it. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap it up tonight. We will see everybody probably next week on Tuesday. Unless do you think you could do tomorrow night? So we can get
I'm busy, but the next night that I'm available will be Friday. I am available on Friday.
If you aren't working the game.
Yes, that would be correct. I'll let you know in the next couple of days, but about if I don't get credentials, I'll let you know, and then that way we can do it on Friday. Or if you want to do wrestling watching too, we can do that too. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll let you know. But that's gonna wrap it up for Alec and Bradley. We will see y'all most likely Tuesday, but we will keep everybody updated.
Have a good night, guys.